What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of The Locker Room. I am here with Angus Crichton. We were just talking about the last name. You're the Scottish heritage. So, yeah, how have you been, brother? And walk us through the Scottish heritage. It's quite interesting. You're not eligible to play for Scotland, but that's kind of where your name comes from and everything like that.
Yeah, good, man. Yeah, had a good day. We just had captain's run. We play tomorrow. So, just cruising down today and a bit of downtime this Sava, which would be nice. So Angus Crichton, pretty Scottish name.
Yeah.
I think it's my great-grandfather, so just out of that reach of actually playing for Scotland in the World Cup, which would have been fun if I was picked for that, but not Scottish enough to throw my name in the ring for that, but it would have been good.
Yeah, 100%. Especially because, the level is slowly lifting. Is that something that you'd like to see kind of in the future, the level of the World Cup game kind of lift?
Yeah, obviously, the level of footy is good out there, and it's growing as a world sport. Obviously, chasing union in the kind of way that the European sides play a lot more union than they do league, and I think it's slowly starting to build, which would be pretty interesting in the future.
Did you see Dave Taylor sign with most likely will sign with the Toronto Wolves or Raptors?
Yeah.
Wolves?
I didn't know he signed there, but I saw Fui's playing over there.
Yeah, how good would that be?
Yeah. I think
far out.
I was talking because they've got the World Cup over there in a few years as well. They're trying to make a comp, an American comp.
Yep.
Obviously, it'd be pretty crazy.
Oh my god!
And the amount of people they've got, the amount of athletes that don't make the NFL or make the NBA or whatever, they've got that many leftover athletes. And what do?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's that rugby sevens USA guy that's like that sprinter.
Yeah,
and there's that highlight clip on Facebook where he's just like gassing blokes.
Yeah,
absolutely gassing blokes.
There's some quick players over there.
So how's it been for you? There's been this breakout year. You debuted last year. But this year, you've put some good footy together and had that consistent kind of. You kind of, just like most debutants that are solid players, they have that first year and they kind of get their bearings, and then that second year is where they kind of kick off. Is that what's it been like for you as a young guy coming through?
Yeah. So last season I played 8 games off the bench, most of them, and I was just kind of doing the stock standard, hitting it up, making my tackles, and I didn't really have much opportunity to do much of what I grew up doing and what obviously I love doing. That's why I play footy. Is you want to be making breaks and breaking tackles,
especially as a wide
running
forward.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to be doing. But I didn't really get the chance to do that last year, and this year I was kind of I kind of made a plan for myself. I've signed with South for this year and for next year, and this year I was planning to try and make sure that I was playing first grade week in, week out, consistently starting, and then I was kind of. My aim was for next year, I wanted to have a bit of a breakout season and start changing my game up a bit and breaking tackles and that kind of thing and kind of finding a bit more open space.
And stamp your style of game into
exactly.
a game.
Yeah, playing the kind of footy that I like to play. So obviously I'm still learning league coming from union, so I've only been playing, learning to play rugby league for 2 years pretty much. So
so it wasn't like a situation where you were you played league, you played union. It was like you were a union player.
So I played league for school in primary school.
Yep. Which is primary school. I mean,
exactly.
It's
so it's just that back then it was the exact same as rugby union. So and then I played a few games in SG ball for the Roosters, and that still was pretty similar to union. It wasn't that hard, just regular footy. And then when I came into the whole first grade kind of scene and playing against big names and training with big names, it's just two completely different games.
Man, totally.
So I've had to pretty much learn from scratch. You can talk to some of the boys from South. When I first started training, I had no idea what I was
So were
doing.
you with the union system?
So I played union all through high school and that sort of thing. And I met up with the Waratahs when I finished school.
Yep.
And so their recruitment manager or whoever it was at the time, I met up with them for a meeting, and they sat me down and said, "We want you playing first grade when you're 23." And I was 18, straight out of school, and I'm just like, far out. If they don't want me playing first grade until I'm 23, I've got 5 years on my hands.
5 years, yeah.
And I met up with Michael Maguire the next week, and he said to me, "We want you playing first grade as soon as you're ready."
Wow. Okay.
So it was a pretty easy decision for me.
What do you reckon that was, the 5-year thing? What is that got?
I couldn't tell you, man.
It's just the system that they have in place, and
I've got no clue, but that's what they said to me, and it just kind of made me think, far out. If you don't want me playing first grade, that's obviously every young kid's goal. They want to be playing.
Yeah, 100%.
Playing in the top kind of competition. If your plans aren't for me to be playing first grade
As soon as you're ready
as soon as I'm ready to, then I don't really want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay. So, and that was that a? Let's say they said to you, "We want you playing first grade as quickly as possible." Would you have made that decision to come to league?
I probably wouldn't have even spoken to Michael Maguire.
Far out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did that come about, that decision to speak to him?
So I didn't have an agent. I was in school and I met up with the Waratahs just because I'd been in their system since I was 16 pretty much. And then after the New South Wales under-18s competition, a manager approached me and just said, if you want to go and have a meeting with Michael Maguire, I've organised it for you, and I can come along if you want. I don't have to come if you don't want me to.
Yep.
And so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go along, and met up with Michael Maguire. He put a 2-year offer on the table, and I was happy. I was keen to rip in. So that's still my manager now. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's man. It's amazing to see like this weird set rule that they had that like, oh, when you're 23, we want you playing first grade. It's like you lose this young guy that's a good player for no reason.
Just like why couldn't I be playing first grade earlier than that?
Yep.
Like, why do you put a limit on it? But I guess that's
what they
did at the time. Yeah, I'm happy that they did that now because I'm absolutely loving my footy.
And
wouldn't want to be anywhere else at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you like kind of similar question is, what's it like being a union guy? And you look at rugby union, and internationally it's relatively big, but in Australia it is just completely died off. Yeah. Like, I couldn't even tell you who plays for Waratahs anymore.
Yeah, I haven't watched a Super Rugby game for a long time.
So what's it like being in that system and watching rugby league get all this press? It's massive, it's gigantic, but it's not big internationally, whereas union's big internationally. What's it like?
Yeah, I wasn't in that system, so I'm pretty happy I got out of it.
Okay, so you didn't see it. Okay,
so I signed with South straight out of high school.
Yep.
Yeah. So
what about in high school when you see the rugby league boys getting more, I guess, funding and stuff like that? Was that weird or none?
Well, I always watched both. When I was a kid, I had a Wallabies jersey and a Roosters jersey hanging up on my wall.
Yep.
At home, I went to a couple of the Roosters grand finals as a kid. Like, love Freddie Fittler.
Man, he's a legend.
Used to sleep with little stuffed rooster when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't even know the difference between league and union when I was little, so
it was just something that you enjoyed watching.
Like players,
yeah. Far out. So Freddie Fittler. So was he the guy that you loved to watch, or was it a forward that you loved to watch, or was it?
Freddie Fittler and Lottie Dakiri are my two favourites.
Lottie Dakiri, what an athlete.
Yeah, I remember one time. So I'm from a country town. We used to go shopping for boots once a year.
Yep.
There's a sports power in town, and Dad walks me in and goes, "Oh yeah, if you can pick your boots out for the season, blah blah blah." And Lottie Dakiri was wearing these bright orange boots at the time, and I walked up. I'm like, "Yeah, I want these ones."
100%.
I tried them on, and Dad's like, "You can think about it. We'll come back tomorrow, and you can choose if you want." And I came back in, and I didn't end up getting those boots. I just got the black ones.
Just went the old battler, mate.
Yeah, that's
good. You went the battler boots. It's weird how like. We forget there was a time that coloured boots was seen as like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me?
And now I've got the most Larry boots flying around.
Oh, and if you wear black, it's weird.
Yeah, if you wear black, sometimes now that's seen as flashy. Like,
yeah, exactly. Black, it's crazy, man. Yeah. When I was growing up and I was playing soccer, like to have white boots, it was like you had to play good because otherwise, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've got some mates still that. Even the boots that they buy, they get them and colour them in just because they.
Wow, it's just in their heads.
Old school kind of style.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's funny. That's like it's weird how things change so dramatically.
Full circle.
And you can't even remember that there was a time when if we walked out with if a player walked out with purple boots on 20 years ago, he'd get bashed.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. So take us back to the young Angus. Was it? You're a big athletic guy, but was it always athletics for you? As in, some people, like for example, when I grew up. I just loved sport, and that's all I did. Was it similar for yourself?
Yeah, so I was a pretty sporty kid. Played everything under the sun.
Yep.
Was good at some of them, pretty shocking at others. So cricket was no good for me.
Yep.
I had a crack. Played soccer and rugby league until I was, I think I would have been in year 4 or something like that. I was playing soccer on Saturdays, rugby union on Sundays, and Dad was like, "Oh, you got to pick one of them." So I ended up picking footy. Which I'm happy I made the call to.
Yeah.
Played league for my primary school. It was pretty good fun. And
so was it more a case of you love sport and then you just kind of did it, or was it like, because like for me it was like that's like I was in those systems, every system there was with soccer and running. Like we'd go to Queensland, we'd go to nationals. Was it similar for yourself?
Not like being from a small town. It's pretty much all I did. There was like my dad loved playing footy when he was a kid and when he went to school. So it's just kind of, I've got two little sisters. So Dad and I, we just chuck around the footy 24/7 and living like I lived 40 k's out of town. So
oh wow, so real country, not just like kind of a bit.
Yeah, that's all I had really, just sport and used to fang around the motorbikes, making cubby houses and whatnot. Yeah.
So what's it like? Tell us something that maybe people that live in the city wouldn't know what it's like to live out in the country. What's something that would shock you?
Well, before I'd come to Sydney, I'd never been in a taxi, never used a laptop.
What?
Yeah.
So how old were you when you come to Sydney?
13.
So before you were 13, you'd never been on the internet?
Oh, yeah, like on the
dial-up.
On the dial-up, yeah. Because our internet at home was shocking. Like, well, Dad still doesn't have Wi-Fi at home, so.
Really?
Yeah.
So never been in a taxi, dial-up internet, never used a laptop. What else? Something that you hadn't used before?
I used to drive me and my little sisters to the bus stop every morning. So our front driveway was probably like 4 k's long.
Oh, come on.
Something like that. So I used to drive since I was probably in year 3.
Yep.
I used to drive me and my little sisters, park the car up at the front gate and get on the bus. The bus was an hour to school, hour back each way. So.
Oh my God, torture.
Yeah.
Torture.
Yeah. So pretty much, I've been pretty independent since a young age. But
if you could choose, would you choose to grow up in the city or would you choose to grow up
country?
In the country?
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if I could go and live back in the country full time now that I've been in the city. It's so busy and so used to always being on the go and
and you just got everything there.
Yeah,
it's there. Is that something that you notice when you come in? It's like everything's accessible. Whereas in your country, like if you want to do something, you got to prep for it, plan it.
Yeah,
this is what we're doing.
So like now we train across the road from Woolies. So now if I'll just go buy my dinner the day of and go home and cook it up, and the next day I'll go do the same thing when I'm going to drive home. But at home, I remember like we'd have to do a shop once a week, a massive shop. We'd have all these groceries because Mum would probably go into town once or twice a week.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. It's not that far away from the city, and yet it's a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a definitely an acquired way of living. Like it's not for everyone. And yeah.
What do you reckon? I was speaking to Luke Keary when he was on the show, and we were not arguing, but we were like just a bit of banter about what's with the stereotype that country people are honest. Yeah. Like, what is that stereotype? Where did it come from?
I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm happy I'll take it. They always call us country boys.
Yeah. Oh, he's a country
humble
lad?
And
good bloke.
Yeah, good bloke. So,
like, even when they're commentating, oh yeah, he's a country lad. That's why he's tough.
A good country boy,
it's like, what?
I don't
Have you
know
ever
where
heard,
that came
is
from.
he a good city boy? It's a G up. Yeah. It's an absolute G up. Like what? Like so, city people just get stereotyped as like bad people.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from. I'm not going to tell him to stop saying that.
Okay, so when was the kind of you played rugby league primary school, then you got into union in high school. When was the kind of moment that you were like, obviously you had your meeting with the Waratahs and they were kind of like, look, 23, but when was the moment where you're like, look, I've got the ability to possibly be a professional athlete?
Ever since I was I was thinking about it the other day, talking to Dad about it, and ever since I can even remember, I've always in my head thought, when I grow up, I'm going to be a footy player. There was no real doubt in my mind that I'd have a normal job. Mum tried telling me that I'd do all these kind of different things, but in my head I always knew that I'd be playing footy as my job. So
it's weird like that.
Yeah, I honestly never had any kind of second thoughts or any plan B, any doubt really. Like,
and it doesn't. And the weird thing is like I was a similar situation. I always knew I was going to be a professional athlete, but it's not. You're not saying it arrogantly like I knew I was going to be that. It's just like in your head when you looked ahead at your future. That was all you saw. You didn't see yourself sitting in a desk and doing it, which is nothing wrong with, you know, whatever, labour and done. I mean, I've done it. But yeah, it's so you just had that in your head. Like when you thought to the future, you were playing footy. Yeah.
And even like, I think sometimes I'd dream a bit too far ahead of myself. So like when I was a kid, growing up, all of our rep teams and stuff, I'd be playing for Riverina, which was, we'd go to those New South Wales PWSA comps and versus like CIS and like North Sydney and
all those dirty city boys
and all those city comps, and those kids would carve us up, and like I'd at the end of all those competitions, my team would have come last. Like I did it year 5 and year 6 for both union and league, and I'd be sitting there at the end of it, and they're picking like the New South Wales teams and that kind of thing, and I'd be sitting there hoping, and every year I'd go back like cut up that I didn't make it.
Really? Wow. So even when you get carved up, you're still in your head, you were like, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, even when I came up to Sydney to go to school up here, everyone was like, "Oh, footy's so different in Sydney. Like, there's so much more talent. There's a lot more players and that kind of thing. Like, it's different to footy back in the country."
Oh, totally.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I just kind of always had that quiet confidence in myself.
Yep.
Like you said, it's not really arrogance, but just kind of that belief that you don't tell people and you don't go around singing your own praises.
Yeah, trying to put other people down.
In your head, I reckon you've got to believe that you're the best.
Oh, totally agree, bro. Yeah. So how many teams? No, sorry, not how many teams did you miss out on, but when was the first representative New South Wales side did you make?
Under 15s.
Under 15s.
When I moved up to Sydney.
Wow. So what do you reckon that jump was? Do you reckon it was because you were in the system and you had the same resources?
That's it. Because once I came into the city and I was playing the rep teams with a lot of other better players that kind of were similar to me and had that drive. And whereas in the country, a lot of the boys, like a lot of my teammates, we'd go and do these comps away from school just to get a day off school.
Yeah, it's not serious.
I remember one time it was my first ever rugby league. First time I'd ever played rugby league, we went on this comp. I think it was in Junee or Wagga or something like that.
Yep.
And my town was too small, so we didn't have a team. So we linked up with Junee, I think it was, and I was playing with all these kids I'd never met before. And they were all just laughing and have a great time because they got the day off school. And there was this one kid, his name was Cookie. It was some Islander kid. His name was Cookie. And he had this strapping tape. He ran onto the field with his electrical tape strapped around his eyes. And like that's how much that they just do it for fun. It's like,
wow, it's just like it was just this madman, this young guy, that was just the crazy young guy that just doesn't give a shit.
That was my first time ever playing league, and like I got tackled. I remember the first time, and I was trying to push the ball back like Union, and then like everyone's like, get up, I had to play the ball.
Far out. That's funny. It's just weird how there can just be such a difference. Okay, so you move into the city. Was it hard when you did move into the city? Did you miss the country a bit?
Yeah, like I said, I was pretty independent as a kid growing up. So always wanted brothers. I had 2 little sisters. So when I came up to Sydney, I was living away from home when I was 13 in a boarding house with a whole heap of other boys in a similar position. So
okay, so you boarded into the city.
Yeah, so I was a boarder in Sydney. My parents still live 5 hours away on the farm in Young. So yeah, it was definitely different, and I learned a lot. Kind of probably grew up pretty quickly in that kind of environment, but yeah, it was good fun, man. So I kind of ate up living in the city and just learned as much as I could and just kind of just ate it all up. Yeah.
Did you? So when you were boarding, like what was that like? Because like boarding is something we don't really hear about as much anymore. I know when I grew up, there were some people that boarded, but I don't really hear about it as much anymore. What was it like being a kid that was away from the parents? You're staying in there. You wouldn't have seen your parents for months on end sometimes. Yeah. What was that like as a young man? Like what, 13?
13, yeah.
Wow. So was that tough? Or did you miss?
Yeah. So you see some kids that get really homesick, and some kids that just kind of get on with it and don't even, because you're so busy and you're on the go. Like you don't really even think of your parents. And I was one of those kids. So like I'd have as much training as I could during the week since I was in year 7. Like I remember as soon as any teachers kind of saw that I had any ability in sport or physical activity and that kind of thing, they were like making me I was doing athletics, I was doing rowing, I was doing tennis. So you
just kind of grabbed it with both hands and said, man, I'm just going to take this opportunity.
And I was so busy doing all this training, and I was so busy just hanging out with my mates 24/7 that I barely even spoke to my parents. They'd be
as a young guy,
they'd be calling me worried, being like, how are you going? I'm like, Mum, stop, I'm having fun. Like,
it's crazy, It's that natural, some men, and it's been for thousands of years it's happened, is like when they hit this age, they kind of need to set out on their own, even though, obviously you still love your parents and communicate with them, but there's this need to want to get out and adventure kind of thing. Okay, so you go through, you always knew that you were going to be a professional athlete, but when was it kind of like, this is going to become a reality? Like, wow, this is actually happening.
That probably still hasn't hit me, to be honest, man.
Really?
Like, yeah. So when I saw my first contract, I guess that's when you realise you're like, I'm getting paid to play sport. Like, this is pretty cool, but still, like I guess you can never really think, I've made it. Like,
that's when you start playing shit.
That's when you start going downhill. So I think every week I'm still like, I'm the underdog here. Like I'm a young player. Like I've got to keep on getting better, and if I don't, then someone else is going to take my spot. So
Yeah, and which is literally the perfect attitude to have.
Yeah.
As soon as you start saying you've got that spot,
yeah,
some young dude that's friggin' 5 inches taller than you,
yeah,
2 seconds faster than you, wants
Yeah.
your spot, and he's just this young animal ready to rumble, like kind of like you were when you were coming
yeah.
through. You were this.
That's it, man. Like, you just got to keep on driving yourself and driving the players around you, and I think that's what happens in successful teams. And the more players you can get, especially a young group, the more players that you can get in a young group driving the older players, the stronger the team will be.
Oh, totally. You usually find like those teams that win grand finals, they've got like these reserve graders that would be starters in nearly any other side.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that Rabbitohs squad when he's won in 2014. I mean, that was you were still coming through the system then, but that was like crazy squad. Okay, so you sign the contract. Were you straight into the first grade squad training?
Yeah, so I signed the contract a year of my contract straight out of school. My first year was under 20s and my second year was full time.
Yep. So when did you know? So you did your under 20s?
No, so I was studying for my HSC in year 12, and I got a call from Madge, and he called me up and said, "Hey, we want you to come on our training and our preseason camp. We're going over to Arizona."
Oh, what?
And so I was studying, and I was doing my HSC in year 12, 18 years old. And I had to Google on my phone if there was an Arizona in Australia that I didn't know about, or if I was going to America. Like, I've never been to America any other time than then. So, yeah.
So had you been overseas before?
Yeah, I'd been overseas, but I'd never been to America. So,
yeah.
So I was so stoked with that, and my manager said to me, he said, I think you might be training first grade like a day a week or something like that. And I went over to Arizona and
wait, let's rewind. You get the call, you go in Arizona. You rock up and you meet all the boys. What's that like for you?
Yeah, so I rocked up to the airport on my own. I hadn't met anyone there.
Yeah.
Actually, no, before I went, I'd met, I spoke to Luke Keary before, and he got a few of us new guys down. We just went to a pub around the corner, Clovelly Hotel, with like Glenn Stewart, Tim Grant,
So just to
myself,
introduce you to it.
a couple of the new recruits. So we all kind of knew each other a tiny bit, but that was like for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I rock up to the airport barely knowing anyone, and I'm meeting all these people that I've been watching on TV winning the grand final
100%.
a couple of months earlier. I'm like, holy fuck, like, is this
This is crazy.
is this actually happening?
And
Like,
so when you met, who was the most that you were like, man, I am a huge fan of your footy, like, or you were kind of just like taken aback that you were shaking his hand? Like, I remember when I first met like Lockyer,
yeah,
it wasn't real. Like, this, how is this happening right now?
Yeah, Reynolds for me was pretty much like that, and John Sutton. So I remember I was sitting behind John Sutton on the plane over there, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm actually, he's there. He's just there.
Yeah.
And then, like, and you're this young kid, so you're like trying to be real quiet and not disrespectful, and you're like, just like, oh man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So what was the trip like to Arizona?
It was unreal, man. So we did like the Grand Canyon and did a heap of training. Like, we got flogged every day, and like it was some of the hardest training I've done.
Yeah.
And then so after that camp, Madge was like, hey, like, you've been training pretty well. We'll keep training you the whole preseason. So the whole preseason I trained first grade. I was still getting paid for under 20s. So obviously I'm like, I'm training first grade here. I'll just cop it. And just
living on
training.
peanuts, but it's the opportunity that
exactly,
you look.
So I was, I ended up doing the whole preseason and ended up training the whole year with first grade.
Wow.
And then, so I had surgery on my finger in, I forget when it was, but I've messed my finger up pretty bad, and obviously I'm like, it's a finger, it's not going to be bad. Like, I want to keep playing, I want to keep training. So I kept playing with that, and then I ended up I've had 5 surgeries on it now in 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
My finger. Yep. So I ended up I don't even have a knuckle in my finger anymore.
So show the camera. Can you show the camera your knuckle?
This finger here, like, look at how short my middle finger is. I can't make a fist.
What?
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, hey.
Yeah.
So you're like, what's wrong with his finger?
I can't do boxing. Like,
oh man, that's like, cause I can't close that one. That one I can't close, but it wasn't. I didn't have heaps of surgery. It just didn't heal properly.
Yeah.
So the surgeries, was that a tough time for you? Because you're this young guy coming through, and you're like, out. Like, I just want to be fresh and ready to rumble.
I guess injuries are part of it, but
yeah.
So I hurt my finger, and because my finger I can still do everything. I can still do all the running, but it's not the skills. So there were a few of us, and we did a ridiculous amount of running. I got the fittest I've ever been. Like, we're doing 2 4 and 5s a week. Like, we're doing just a ridiculous amount of running.
Yeah, getting towed.
Yeah, and then after my finger had healed, then my groin went on me.
Oh man!
So I had
it's always the way.
I had to get a groin reconstruction and
a full reco,
full groin reconstruction.
Oh,
so that was 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
I was in bed for 2 weeks.
What was so like? You know, this is your first year out of high school.
Yeah. So the first year was 2015.
Yep.
And that's when
all this stuff happened.
Yeah. Oh, let me think. Yeah. And then so I did my groin in. So 2015 was all my finger. Like I played probably a handful of games. I think I played 10 games.
Yep. In under 20s.
I think I played 5 for the 20s and 5 for New South Wales Cup.
Okay. Yep.
That was when I was 19, and then the 2015 or 2016 pre-season. That was when my groin went on me, and I had to get a groin reconstruction, and I missed most of the pre-season. I came back in round 18.
Okay.
Yeah, and so before then, like I hadn't played first grade. I was training.
So you'd only played like in 2 years essentially. You'd played what 8 games or some 10
so
games
up until round 19 in last year, so 2016. I'd played probably 10 games since 2014.
Wow, far out. And you still made your debut that year.
Yeah.
So you came back into 20s or New South Wales Cup?
So I came back around 18. Around 18. I think into under 20s.
Yep.
I might have been around 17, but we played the Cowboys. They were coming second, and we were coming second last at Rabbitohs. So
yep.
Pretty fair matchup, and we ended up beating them at Redfern Oval. That was my first game back. And then after that game, I got picked for New South Wales under 20s Origin.
Yep.
And so Madge said to me, "You've been picked for this New South Wales 20s Origin."
After one game in the year.
They said, "You've been picked for this Origin, but I've been looking. I want to debut you against the Broncos in 2 weeks' time. So you can either play Origin, but I'm not 100% if I want to debut. You can play Origin for under 20s, or you can play New South Wales Cup this weekend, and then there's a chance that I'll play you in first grade the next week." So I'm there.
Oh my god!
I haven't played any rep footy ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first league rep team. Like, I don't know when this will ever happen again, kind of thing.
Especially at that age, like making that New South Wales side, it's a big deal.
Yeah. A lot of big names playing that kind of competition, that arena. So I was like, I don't know what I want to do here. I kind of thought about it for a while, and I just rolled the dice and said, I'll play Cup this weekend, and hopefully I'll play all right and debut. Yeah. I came off the bench for New South Wales Cup. I honestly played pretty shit. Like, I didn't play well, and I'm like, there's no way he's going to pick me. And he came up, he's like, I've picked you for next week to play. So I was so stoked.
Do you reckon he was testing to see how desperate you were to play first grade?
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
Whatever he did, it worked.
So when he came up and said to you, you're going to be playing first grade, what was it feeling like? How did it happen? Was it a shock? Like,
I think he called me. I was in my car.
Yeah.
And he called me and said, we've got you in this weekend, Gus. Like, you're going to be playing, making your debut. I'm like, I acted real cool. I'm like, yeah, sweet. Yeah, perfect. I'll do the job. I hung up the phone. I'm in my car driving home and just going, fuck yeah, like screaming. Like, I was so happy, man.
It's that like relief, hey? Just I finally did it.
Yeah.
And let me guess, as soon as you played one game, you were like, I never want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And like the week I debuted, from my groin reconstruction, I had my adductor released. And so some of the scar tissue something happened. I had this massive bruise down my on my inside of my leg.
Yep.
And like I was icing it all week, and like the physios were like, "Are you sure you want to play?" And I'm like, "There's no way I'm missing this game."
100%.
Like, and if you look at all the photos from my debut game, I've just got this big purple, bruise down my whole leg. It's ridiculous. But.
And so, what's a memory you have from that game? Like, you ran out. What was it like walking into that dressing sheds for the first time, and your name's on the thing, and all the boys are around you? It's all professional.
It was unreal, but I was just so ready for it. Like, I'd been thinking about that for so long. So when it came around, I was ready for it, 100%.
And so, is any memories of on the field that you remember that stick out to you on your debut? You're like thinking like,
I had a great time on my debut. I was playing, came off the bench on the left edge. Broncos beat us, but John Sutton was my half, and he just kept feeding me the ball. I think I only played like 44 minutes, but I think I had like 11 carries or something like that.
So they really got you in the game.
So I was stoked with that.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you make your debut, and then you play 8 games that year, and then you come into the preseason, and I'm assuming you're essentially injury free this time for once. Like,
I had to get another surgery on my finger.
Oh my god.
So when I came into the preseason, I was still like I was behind that 8 ball a bit.
Yep. But I guess you would have just been like relieved that it wasn't a whole preseason you're missing.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. So I could still do all the fitness, and that was all it was at that time of the year. So got the majority of the preseason under my belt, which was good.
And then, so do you think that that's what's kind of set you up for this year and made you feel more, I guess, play great footy and get those consistent games under your belt? Because you haven't missed any games this year so far?
Round 1, I played reserve grade this year.
Yep. And then so you fought your way into the side.
Yeah.
Okay, what was that like? You play round 1, or you get named for round 1 in New South Wales Cup. Was that a bit disheartening?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, so I played in a couple of trials, and I didn't think I went too badly. In Manly and Charity Shield, I thought I had a decent preseason. Like, I was feeling pretty good.
Well, your Charity Shield, you scored a try, didn't you?
Yeah,
Ran that good. Okay, yeah, and you did have a good game, Charity Shield.
Yeah, so I thought I would have been there, but that wasn't my decision, obviously.
Yeah.
So he picked, I think he went with Robbie Rocco on the bench over me, and he just said, that's fine, Rock. Yeah. Chow's a great bloke, and he's a legend. But
it's just footy. That's
exactly. That's the way it is. It's hard
some
sometimes you're up against your best mates, but that's just the nature of the sport. He called me into his office and said, we haven't picked you this weekend. You're going to be playing New South Wales Cup. I went with Robbie just because he's got more experience and can cover more positions in the middle and that kind of thing. And obviously, like I said at the start of this interview, like I had a plan for that year. I want to be starting in the second row. Yep. And I want to kind of be playing consistent footy. I want to be playing 80 minutes. That was my goal, to be playing 80 minutes every week by the end of the season. Yep. And so for me, when he said that, he said he can cover more positions. Like, he's on the bench because he's more kind of versatile. He can play versatile. He can play in the middle. He's more experience and that kind of thing. And I said to him when he said that, I said, like, I respect you for that. Like, I understand why you made that call, but at the end of the day, I want to be playing 80 minutes on the edge. Yep. So I'm happy. Like, I wasn't happy that he didn't pick me for that game, but because he was viewing me as a benchy coming on and playing.
Okay.
And playing in the middle, playing in the edge.
Okay, sweet. If you want to view me that way, I'm happy to work my way into the position.
Yeah. So I went and played New South Wales Cup and started on the right edge, which is where I wanted to be. So it was disheartening, and obviously I thought I was going to be there, but yeah, it's good, man. Like that depth in the squad and pushing those young players to make the side. I guess 100%. That's good.
And I swear, like, and this is just an assumption, but I swear to God, sometimes a coach, they get this young guy and they're like, I'm going to put him in reserve grade, see how he responds. Yeah. And if he goes and has a crack, I'll bring him back up. If he doesn't, he was never meant to be a first grader. Yeah. And he's got to work his way into it. Some coaches do that. It could have been like that, yeah. And, you've obviously proved to us. So you came into the squad round 2? Yeah,
came in on the bench in round 2.
Yep. And then, so you've played every game since then?
Yeah.
And so, what's it been like for you? Like, week in, week, has your body handled it? Are you feeling fresh? You're good? all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think, as a footy player, like, your body's never really feeling fresh. Like, you're never at 100%. But, I think the biggest thing is just getting yourself up week for week and recovering so your body is right.
Yeah, totally, man. Especially now that we know so much about recovery and how important it is. Like, back, even when I was playing, we didn't have as much information, whereas now, like, we know that you need to be, rested, you need to be in ice, you need to be this, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, so what's been the best moment for you so far as a footy player? Was it that Charity Shield try that you scored with Reynolds, that line you ran? I think you ran unders and then stepped out overs and went over the line there. What's been the best kind of moment for you within footy kind of thing?
Obviously this season we haven't had too many wins, but obviously winning's like why we play the sport. Winning's what we aim to do, and that's obviously because it's fun and we all enjoy it. Yeah. So, just winning. Like when we win our games, like obviously that's the best feeling in the world.
So good, eh?
Yeah, you can't really beat it. So
there's nothing like you get off the field and you're just like, life is so good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So finals footy is obviously what I want to do. Yeah. So it might not happen for us this year, but obviously that's my goal in the future. And just winning's probably the best thing. That feeling in the sheds when you're with your mates and you're with the guys you busted your ass for 80 minutes. Like that's probably the best. I can't really narrow it down.
Totally agree, bro. So who's a player that you've kind of learnt the most off? Maybe a wide running forward that you've kind of looked to and been like, I'd love to emulate some of the things he's done.
Yeah, there's a heap of great edge back rowers in the NRL, and like I honestly watch a lot of their clips and kind of see different parts of their games that I I can kind of chuck into my game and steal from them. And obviously coming up against them on the weekends is pretty cool. But my favourite player last season, Tohu Harris, he was probably my favourite.
He's good, eh?
Yeah, just good on his feet, good with the ball. Like, he's a smart player.
He's just one of those guys that, like, he has that little bit of flair,
yeah,
but he's also so solid.
Yeah, but there's different players. So I like Harris for that. Like Boyd Cordner's like Lions.
He's so good.
He's honestly the best.
Yep.
Wade Graham with his skills and his kickings, like,
and his aggression as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of unreal players.
It really is, eh? Like, that position is a real, like, underappreciated specialist position. That when you start naming them like you just done, you're kind of like, wow, like shit.
All those edge back rowers all do it very differently, and I think that's what I'm excited about. Like, is kind of looking at their games and trying to steal as much as I can from them. So
is Sonny Bill someone that because he would have been really hitting his straps when you would have been like 13, 14, 15?
Yeah.
Maybe even
when I was in high school, Sonny Bill and Greg English were my two favourite players.
Yeah. What was it like meeting GI?
That was crazy, man. Yeah. He was honestly, like, I used to watch highlights videos of him every Saturday before I'd play at school. So
highlights video.
From going watching Greg's highlights, and then I'd be like, let's go, it's time to play. Like,
so he was your highlights reel that you'd get up and you'd be like, all right, GI. And
I used to sit in my room at school, get it up on my laptop and watch the same highlights video before every
over
game.
And over and over. Do you remember who made the highlights video? Like, what YouTube channel?
I can't remember, but
there's some pretty good ones out there.
Yeah.
And it's like got the music. What song was in the background?
I can't remember.
You just focused on GI, just spending blokes. The thing with GI, and I try to explain to people, is like, there's every single player in the NRL nearly you can train yourself or train a team to defend. Greg Inglis, it does not matter. You can do any technique you want in the book. He will fend your face off if you he wants to. If he's ready to rumble,
he's something else, Greggy.
Far out. I mean, as I've said a million times in this show, but I've still got a chipped tooth from when he fended my face, and I'm keeping it as a souvenir. And so, okay, that's something else to talk about. Was it tough seeing him struggle because he's such an important person to that club? Was it tough this year? You know, obviously he's come out the other end, which is just unbelievably good. But was it tough when he was going? Were you like, as a mate, you know, you don't know you want to go and help him, but you want to give him his space as well?
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Like, depression and kind of the mental game is huge these days. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it's sad to see in a way, but it's inspiring to see him come out the way he has, and also I reckon publicly it's helped a lot of people. Like,
oh, totally.
It doesn't matter if you're a journalist or if you're a footy player or if you're in any job or occupation. Like, depression's everywhere, suicide's everywhere. So I think him coming out and showing what he's feeling, it might make a lot of people, because he's such an idol and he's such a public figure, that people look up at him and say, holy, that's Greg Inglis there. Like,
so he like, I can relate.
If he's feeling this, then it's not so weird for me to be feeling this. Like,
totally.
So if I view him as so untouchable and he's going through this kind of thing that I'm going through, then it's not so abnormal for me to be feeling this way. So I think him coming out like that, it's great for Australia in general. Like,
totally agree.
Yeah, depression and suicide needs to be talked about more. I reckon.
Totally, man, and especially between men. Like, you know, something like 75% of the suicides are all men. So, you're totally right with it. A superstar like Greg Inglis, and you know, the perfect life, and then you see that he does struggle with human things. There'd be so many blokes out there that would be like, oh man, like,
I can
I'm
talk
not
about
alone.
this now. Yeah.
So it's and the thing is like, people don't realize is like, it is hard to come out and admit what would normally be seen as a weakness, especially as a footy player. For him to come out and say, like, I'm struggling, like, even I would struggle to come out and say, like, I'm struggling, because it's just this weird stigma of, like, you're admitting vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was just massive, especially the way it was handled. Like, you know, sometimes negative things can happen in a guy's life, and then, you know, he's got depression, whereas, like, Greg Inglis is on top of the world. He's one of the best in the, you know, the whole of rugby league, and he was willing enough to talk about these kind of issues. Okay, so the next 12 months go perfectly for you. Where are you? What are you doing? Are you winning a GF, or like as in for the next year, or you're playing whatever? What's a perfect kind of 12 months for you?
Yeah, well, that's my goal, man, is to win a grand final.
Yep.
Obviously, sitting here at 21, it's ambitious, but I guess you see a lot of young guys do it. And, well, I think that's. Like, I could sit here and say I want to be playing Origin, I want to be having rep jerseys and that kind of thing, but I think that all comes off the back of playing good footy for your club, and if you're if you're going well with your teammates and you're playing finals footy and you're winning GFs, then that's when selectors look at you for those kind of things.
Totally.
So I think I'm not too focused on that. I'm more focused on trying to play well as a team and keep on making myself a better player in that squad to help us get better.
And the thing is, like, a lot of people say, oh, that's a pretty cliche answer, but it's a cliche because it's true. Like, if you focus on your team, everything else comes after that. Like it's that simple.
If you're playing footy trying to win an Origin jersey, you'll play horribly.
Yeah, totally agree. You start doing things for
yourself.
Be selfish.
That's not the way. That's not the way the game's meant to be played.
Yeah, totally. Especially with the structures involved now, you have to be doing your piece in the machine.
Exactly,
if you are not, the whole machine breaks. Who's the most underrated player in your side, or someone that you've played with? The most underrated player that you've been like, he just does not get the appreciation that he deserves.
It's a tough one. There's a lot of unsung heroes of players that haven't even played first grade. Legit, like grinding away because I've been in rehab. It's a very dark place. Like grinding away in those hot barrack chambers, doing your cardio,
and you're in reserve grade. It's not even like you're on a first grade contract.
There's a guy in our squad, Connor Tracy. Hasn't played a game of footy in 2 years. He's had 3 ACL reconstructions.
Oh my God.
He's the fittest in the squad, and he had a little scare a couple of weeks ago. Had a little hiccup, and found out that he wasn't going to play a game this year. So this will be his 3rd year not playing footy.
Oh my God.
And he's honestly, he comes back, he's doing running, he's just started doing his skills. That's why I'm so excited for him next year and to watch him unfold as a player, because he's going to be an absolute superstar.
And how old is he?
So he's 21, he's had 3 knee reconstructions.
So it's not even like he's like 30
Hasn't played a game in 3 years.
Oh my God.
And he's still there putting his hand up every day, being such a legend. And
and it's easy to sit and say, oh, you're doing rehab for a living, but people don't understand how demoralizing and that's not to say that people don't have their issues in their job, because every job has an issue, but
that's a tough one. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is being injured, and for someone to go through 3 knee reconstructions, 3 years not playing a game of footy when you're 21 years old, for him to keep on saying, I'm going to keep going, that's admirable for me. So
totally. And it's not, and it's not just like you're not playing footy. It's okay. Am I even going to get a contract next year?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm getting paid nothing. In contract negotiations, they're just going to be like, look, mate, you've been injured for 2 years. We cannot give you anything good. So it's all those other things. And then you're like, have I just wasted the last 5 years of my life pursuing a dream that now I'm behind all my mates? Have all got their trades. They're earning, they're earning 80 or 100 grand a year. I've got to go and get a trade. Like, there's so many little things that people just may not see. And as I said, I understand.
That's the other side of footy that no one writes about in the papers, which for me, they're the real heroes, those guys that are grinding away in the background.
Totally.
Trying to crack it. That's
on nothing. And also every single year they continue to follow that dream, they depreciate in value as an employee every single year. So
it's like a massive ambassador for that kind of role of grinding away and then finally getting your cracks. Cody Walker, and I think he's back at 5'8" this weekend, which is his best position. Him with Greg being out, he's been fullback all year, playing out of position, and he's been playing pretty good footy.
Yeah, really good footy. Like number 1 try assist.
Yeah, and I think he's been copying a bit of flack for maybe not playing as much as the best footy he's played earlier on in the year. But him coming back to 5'8" this weekend, like I've been defending him at training this week, and he's a freak, Cody, and I think he's pretty underrated as a player. And
he's amazing. I love watching him play. He just he has that natural ability to just break a game open that you cannot teach, like that feel for the game, that flow. Similar to Greg Inglis, like that. Just that flow, Darren Lockyer is similar, like they just have a flow. Cameron Munster, they just can feel it.
They just can find a hole, find a break anyway.
Yeah, 100%. So
except Cody hits the treadmill. That's his only issue.
First 10 metres.
Yeah, it's good for 10 metres, and then he hits the treadmill and he's got to offload it to AJ.
Oh man, so is he been someone that you've taken a lot of inspiration from, that if things do get a little bit tough, look at a guy like Cody Walker.
Exactly.
He was 26 years old.
That's all you got to do. He debuted at 26 years old. I'm here 21 playing first grade. I can't complain about anything.
Totally.
He's got he's got a young family. beautiful misses and two great kids, and I just take my hat off to him. Like, it's unreal.
And it's one thing, like, there's a lot of guys that they may debut later and they come in and they do the job and it's great. He's not only come in and done his job, he's been one of the best attacking players in the competition. So to come in at such a late age and be one of the best attacking players in the comp, it's just like, hats, as you said, full praise to him. Okay, so who's the toughest player you've ever played against?
There's a fair few tough players to tackle and that kind of thing, but the ultimate competitor would be Sam Burgess. Like, I haven't played against him, but I've trained against him at training and that kind of thing.
He's coming all day.
Yeah, he is. I think he's in a league of his own for that question. Like, it just doesn't stop. And like, people would think, oh, he's so fit because he can play 80 minutes in the middle.
Yeah.
But you look at him and he's gassed. Like, he's honestly
gassed the whole time.
He's got nothing left.
Yeah.
But he just keeps on pushing. So
what's the craziest thing you've ever seen him do on the field, or like just something, a moment where you're like, man, that is like crazy.
Yeah, just like when we're defending our own line, or if and I'm on an edge, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm absolutely tanked, and then he comes out with a massive hit. It's just like, how do you do that? Like, how do you find the energy to do that? Like,
yeah, totally. And it's also what I admire about Sammy Burgess is like, he's like, his aren't going that great this year, and he's got a lot of pressure on him, and it would be easy for him to just go in, tick the boxes, get off the field. That was what most people do. But every single week he's still coming out, doing his best. Yeah. Maybe it might be an error here and might be an error there, but he comes back and he goes hard again. Yeah. A lot of players go into their shell, and I love how he just continues to turn up, to turn up.
He's a class player.
Craziest injury you've ever seen on a footy field?
I've seen some bad, like, compound fractures of fingers and that kind of thing. But any ACL, like Aaron Gray's ACL in the nines this year, he just did his knee, and there's this photo where his knee's like sucking itself in. Like,
oh my god! Actually, sorry, I asked that question wrong. Craziest injury injury you've seen someone play on with?
I don't know. Play on with. I've played through with some stupid injuries, but
what have you played through with, like in a game where you've pushed through?
I snapped the tendon in my finger, and I used to needle it up and play with it in under 20s. So
in under 20s,
that was stupid, man. That's
so pointless. What are you doing?
Yeah, but some pretty tough players in the NRL. Everyone hides their injuries pretty well, because I think if you see someone and you know that they're carrying cartilage or something like that, you'll try and go out and get him to trying to psych him out of the game. Obviously, Jonathan Thurston's shoulder in Origin, that was probably the
most obvious.
That's probably the craziest injury I've seen someone play with. Like, his shoulder was cooked the whole game, and you can see him tackling
in Origin.
And
then he friggin' kicks the goal to win.
Yeah, that's definitely the craziest injury I've seen.
Absurd toughness and just going all day. I mean, that Queensland side. What's it like as a young New South Welshman? That's something I want to ask you. You're a young New South Welshman. For the last 12 years, you've just seen Queensland's dominance. Does it make you angry? Like obviously not angry, you don't hate the Queensland players, but as a New South Wales, does it make you angry? It's like, I just want to crack at them. Like, I fucking hate how they continue to win. What's it like?
Yeah, obviously you've got to take your hats off to them. Like, they've obviously built a really strong culture there, and they've got a whole team full of players that know each other and know how each other function and turn up for each other at that time of year, every year. Like, there's no...
It's weird, eh? They just seem to turn up together. Like, it doesn't matter how they're playing at club. Get to Origin, they turn up.
It's not a coincidence. Like, they're like that for a reason. I think that you can't really be angry at that. Like, that's pretty... It's
Does it motivate you? As in, I want to crack at them.
It's like we need that for New South Wales. Like, we need to build that kind of culture, but better in New South Wales. Like,
And so is that so as a young New South Welshman, is it kind of like you respect it, but you'd also love a crack at it?
Yeah,
like
100%.
You'd love a crack at them just somehow have... It's always weird, like you feel like you could do the job if you just had that shot at those bastards, those Queenslanders, because I'm a Queenslander, so I'm stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. Keep killing it.
Yeah, like you said, like, you respect it, but at the same time, you're like, I'd love to see them go down. Like, obviously, if New South Wales could build, like we used to have that, if New South Wales could build that kind of winning culture and that get on that roll, I'd love nothing more than to see Queensland go through what we've gone through the last 12 years and just give them a 12-year drought.
Oh, and that's the thing that sucks is, like, today with, like, everything, so, like, you can't really say what you want to say because someone might take it out of context. But
Yeah.
like, let's be honest, like New South Wales would love to be dominating Queensland,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Queensland love to be dominating New South Wales. It's just
Yeah.
like it's friendly, but it's also it matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I asked all the boys, actually, toughest period of your career. Like, obviously, you're still relatively young, but I assume in that first year when you were getting injured all the time, was there ever a moment where you're like, shit, like,
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
like,
100%.
maybe
Like,
this is not going to work?
when I went through my finger surgeries, and I'd had 5 surgeries on my finger and my groin reconstruction. I was sitting in rehab, like I'd played 10 games in 2 years. There's times like where you're in the gym doing cardio and like you're on your own because there's no one else injured. Like it's pre-season, everyone's fresh, and you're here injured.
And you're an under-20s boy as well. You haven't played first grade yet.
First grade. Like there's an unsung hero at South. Harry Harris is our strength and conditioning guy, and he looks after all the rehab boys, and he's just the best. Like he's honestly, like he's a massive mentor for a lot of us guys that were in rehab for a long period of time. And like, there's times when I've been in the gym and I'm just like, can I swear on this? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm just
right,
like,
you can get nude if you want.
and I'm just like, fuck this. Like,
yeah.
And I've walked out of the gym doing training or doing gym, and like my body is just so sore because of the surgeries that I've had, and just the frustration that I've had to walk out of sessions like crying, just being like, this is just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to be okay.
yeah, and I just want to be playing footy. Like,
Yeah.
You can't really explain it until you've been there. Like, you'd probably know from injuries and that kind of thing, but he's just the best for that kind of stuff. Like,
just picks you back up,
exactly.
puts you back together.
Yeah. And he's just like, if you need a day off, have a day off. Like, he knows what it feels like. So from pre-season last year, I did the whole pre-season. Then when it got to the Auckland Nines, that was when my groin went on me. Like I was just about to go for the Nines, and my groin went just after I'd done the whole pre-season. I hadn't missed a session. And so I had surgery. I think I had surgery on the 2 days before round 1. On my groin, so I was stuck in bed for 2 weeks.
Far out, and like watching the start of the season happen, all the boys oh my god.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And so going through that time, that was when you're struggling, and he was there to help me out a bit. And then when you start playing, like, that's when you kind of pick yourself up and you're like, now I've got to go.
It was all worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like there's times when you get to, like, everything comes to a head, and if someone said to you in that moment of despair and you're upset, if someone said to you, you can walk away for don't train with us for 2 weeks, you'd be like, fuck, I'm done, man. I'm done with this. Yeah. And then you wake up the next day and you'd be like, all right, let's just get back up in there. So, and then you get back into playing footy, and like, look at Gutherson, the poor bloke. Like, he did the same situation.
Yeah, I know.
He's in, and he was on this show, like, only not long ago, saying like, back when I had my 2 injuries, and then I said to myself, if I ever got injured like this again, I'm not going to go through it. And like, the poor bloke gets injured again, but I'm sure obviously he'll go through it now because it's been a while. But that pain is pretty dramatic. Best prank you've ever seen in a footy squad? You can leave the names out if you want.
Yeah, let me think.
And also, if it's too hectic, you can.
Let me think. There was this good one like a couple of weeks ago. There's an app you can get in your phone, and there's pre-recorded messages, and you can call up a number, and this voice talks to you. And
I've gotten called by
we called up George Burgess on it, or I think Cookie called him.
Yeah.
And it was blowing up about his dogs, and then George got real defensive, and he's going, my dogs are fucking violators, fuck off. And then this voice started like blowing up and like laughing and shit, and he was spraying.
He was ready to go.
He was spraying this voice recording, so it's not even real. And then we got it up and played it in the meeting in front of him, and everyone was just cracking
in front of all the boys.
Yeah.
We're like, boys, we've got something to show everyone. And it was him blowing up.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What was he saying? He was like,
he was just laughing. Yeah.
Man, that's a good get. That's a good get. Ask all the boys his favourite movie of all time.
Movie. I don't know, man. I'm a big Friday Night Lights fan, like the TV series.
Yep. Did you watch the movie Friday Night Lights?
No, I haven't watched it. But,
what?
Because they've got different characters.
Yeah. It's pretty good though.
Yeah, Tim Riggins is a man in that.
Yeah.
Then we've got Fighter with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg.
Mate, classic.
That was one of my favourites.
Yeah, that's sick. Favourite rapper of all time?
Favourite rapper? I don't know if he's a rapper, but Chris Brown.
Chris Brown?
Yeah.
He could. Yeah, he does a bit of rapping.
Does a little bit of rapping.
The Breezy.
Yeah, Breezy.
Breezy.
He's my favourite.
And if you could have a billboard anywhere saying anything, what would it be?
That's a bit of a different one.
And where would it be?
I don't know.
I stumped everyone.
Yeah.
Stumped everyone with that one. And like, I don't even know if I should ask it because everyone's like, what are you talking about, bro? What are you even talking about?
Yeah, I don't even know what to answer to that.
All right, bro. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, no worries. Thanks for having me, man.